ஓகே. இன்னைக்கு நம்ம பார்க்க போற கான்செப்ட் revaluation. So today's concept is revaluation of assets and reassessment of liabilities. So it's a very easy topic. At the same time, this topic will be continued until your death of a partner. Okay. So the concept is revaluation of assets and reassessment of liabilities. So in this method or in this concept, you have to understand only the three things. What are those three things? One with respect to assets and one with respect to liabilities. So first let us see with respect to assets. With respect to assets, first is the value of asset. Okay, value of asset might come down. That means decreases. If this is the case, then basically it is a loss item. Okay, when the value of an asset comes down, basically it is a loss item. So if you are finding any of the adjustment mentioning that the value of stock or the value of machinery is to be decreased, okay, or reduced, if these are the words used, then it is a loss item. So the other alternate word for decrease can be reduced. Okay, we can use the word reduced by. Okay, if any of these words has been found, okay, reduced by, then it is a loss item. Am I making sense to you? Value of asset might come down as decreases, or it can reduce. If this is a case, it is a loss item. When it is a loss item, then you have to pass this particular journal entry. What is the journal? If you ask me, the journal is as follows. Revaluation account will be debited. Okay. Revaluation account is debited to asset account. So if there is a loss, then revaluation account is debited to asset account. Am I making sense? You can able to understand. In revaluation concept, okay, the first item is the value of an asset can come down, that is decrease, or it can get reduced. If this is the case, it's a loss item. Okay. The second category is value of asset might go up. That means increases. Okay. So when the value of an asset increases, it is a profit item. It is a profit item. Okay. The word increases is also can be said as brought up to. Okay. The value of an asset increases. We can use these two words either increases or brought up to. If this is the case, it's a profit item. If it is a profit item, then the journal will be asset account will be debited. Okay, asset account is debited to revaluation account. So remember, In the case of a profit item, you are crediting the respective asset and debiting the revaluation account. Whereas in the case of profit item, you are debiting the asset account and crediting revaluation account, which means if it is a profit item or loss item, okay, remember, if it is a loss item, then the asset should appear on the debit side. Okay, in case of loss item, the asset should appear on debit side of revaluation account. Debit side of revaluation account. On the other hand, if it is a profit, in that case, asset should appear on credit side of revaluation account. Okay, on the credit side of revaluation account. Now, the third case. Okay, the third case is value of asset earlier not recorded to be recorded now. Okay, else earlier it was not recorded, now it has to be recorded. That means unrecorded asset to be recorded. This is nothing but okay, and unrecorded asset now recorded. Okay, this is the meaning of it. So if this is also a case, then it leads to profit item. Okay, if this is a case, it is a profit item. So when it is a profit item, the entry will be recorded as here it is a recorded asset. So you are just using asset account. If it is an unrecorded asset, then you'll record it in such a way like unrecorded asset account debited to revaluation account. Unrecorded asset debited to revaluation account. Again, here also, being a profit item, okay, asset should appear on the credit side of revaluation account. Here, what account asset is unrecorded? The respective unrecorded asset should appear on credit side of revaluation account. Any doubt up to this? Okay. Like how the value of an asset can get reduced or decreased, or it can get increased or brought up to, and even unrecorded to be recorded. Even in the liabilities, we have the same cases. Okay. Now we are seeing with respect to assets. Let's see with respect to liabilities. Okay. So with respect to liabilities, first value of a liability decreases. value of a liability decreases. This is a profit item. Okay, if the value of an liability decreases, it is a profit item. So for this, the journal will be okay. Respective liability, whatever is the liability, that liability should be debited. Liability account is debited to revaluation account. This is the journal to be followed. Liability account debited to revaluation account. So again the same thing. Okay, liability should appear on credit side of revaluation account. அப்போ ப்ராஃபிட் ஆன் அசெட்னாலும் ரீவால்யூஷன் அக்கௌண்ட்டோட கிரெடிட் சைடு, அதே சமயத்தில் ப்ராஃபிட் ஆன் லயபிலிட்டினாலும் ரீவால்யூஷன் அக்கௌண்ட்டோட கிரெடிட் சைடு. திஸ் கான்செப்ட் கேன் able to understand? Profit profit on an asset is also recorded on the credit side of revaluation account. Profit on liabilities are also recorded on the credit side of revaluation account. Is there any doubt in this concept? The next one, second concept. Liability value is going to get increased. Okay, so value of liability increases. This is basically a loss item. This is basically a loss item. So when any when any liability increases, it leads to loss item, and such losses will be passed on through the revaluation account, and it will appear on the debit side of the revaluation account. So being a loss item, the journal entry for this will be revaluation account is debited to liability account. So being a loss, okay, it will appear on which side? Debit side. In this case, liability should appear on debit side of revaluation account. Okay, any doubt up to this case? Any doubt at this level? Okay. The next one, the third case, where the value of liability which was earlier not recorded now to be recorded. Okay. Liability not recorded earlier but to be recorded now. That is nothing but unrecorded liability is to be recorded. Unrecorded liability is to be recorded. So this is again going to be the above journal, but with slight variation. The way the journal is revaluation account is debited to unrecorded liability account. And again, in this case also, we have to use the unrecorded liability will appear on the debit side of revaluation account. Can you able to follow? Unrecorded liability will appear on debit side of revaluation account. Now, after recording all these journals, there is something called as revaluation expenses. Okay, there is something called as revaluation expenses. We are now going to discuss on those revaluation expenses. So in revaluation expenses, if you see, we have got altogether four different types. Okay, we have got four different types. We must be able to understand which journal to be passed for which type of question. That means we have to follow which journal entry for which type of question, that we have to be in fingertips. And where to pass entry, where not to pass entry also should be aware of. So let me discuss one by one. The first one, firm has taken the responsibility firm has taken the responsibility for revaluation expenses and firm themselves have paid the amount, and firm themselves have paid the revaluation expenses. So they have accepted and they themselves have paid the amount of revaluation expenses. Here the journal to be recorded is revaluation account debited. Okay. Revaluation account debited to cash or bank account. To cash or bank account. Can you able to understand? Hello. Okay. Are you taking the notes parallelly? Okay. Fine. The second case, partner has accepted the payment. Okay, partner has accepted the payment of revaluation expenses, but was paid by another partner on his behalf. Okay, so that means, for example, partner A has accepted the payment of revaluation expenses but was paid by another partner, that is partner B. Okay, if this is the case, then what is the journal to be followed? Okay, it is quite simple. A's, okay, because A has to make the payment, he hasn't made the payment, but still he will be making the payment. So A's capital or current account is debited to B's capital or current account. Okay, this is a journal to be followed. A's capital or current account debited to B's capital or current account. Any doubt in this one? Okay. The next one, third category is partner has accepted the payment of revaluation expenses and he himself has made the payment of revaluation expenses. He himself has made the payment of revaluation expenses. That means, example, partner A himself has accepted the payment for revaluation expenses and he himself, that is partner A himself has made the payment. In this case, no journal entry. In this case, no journal entry. Okay, this is the concept. So partner A himself has made the payment where he himself has accepted for the payment. In that case, there is no journal entry. Any doubt up to this case? Any doubt up to this case? Okay. எஸ் எந்த ஒரு பார்ட்னர் அவரே வந்து ரெஸ்பான்சிபிலிட்டி எடுத்து அவரே பேமெண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்காருன்னா அப்போ அந்த கேஸில் வி won't பாஸ் எனி ஜேர்னல் ஓகே ஓகே the next one fourth case is firm has paid remuneration. Firm has paid remuneration to the partner to carry on the process of revaluation. ஸோ இப்போ வந்து ஒரு பார்ட்னருக்கு ஃபர்ம் வந்து ரெம்யூனரேஷனுங்கிற பேரில் அமௌண்ட் பே பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. ஓகே நீயே பார்த்துக்கோ. ஓகே இந்த ரீவாலுவேஷன் வருது எக்ஸ்பென்சஸ் வருது எல்லாமே நீனே பார்த்துக்கோ அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஃபர்ம் ஹேஸ் மேட் ஓகே த அமௌண்ட் to the partner in the form of revalue in the form of remuneration. Okay, firm has paid some remuneration to the partner to carry on the process of revaluation. Okay, in this case, the journal entry will be concerned partner. Okay, concerned partners capital or current account debited to revaluation account. Okay, so this is the journal entry to be passed in this case. Concerned partners capital or current account debited to revaluation account. All this I have already made it clear in my one page reckoner which I already shared it. You can just see here, I'll just show it. Just one I made one mistake. I'm sorry. One minute. Yeah. This one, when the firm pays remuneration, yeah, I just made a small mistake. It is revaluation account is debited to concerned partners. Okay. So this the other way. I made a mistake. Okay, just I'm making the correction of the same. Okay, this is a journal entry. Revaluation account will be debited to concerned partners capital or current. Okay, so this is a journal to be followed with respect to this case. Okay, any doubt after this? When the partner, okay, has been paid some remuneration by the firm to carry over the process of revaluation expenses, then this will be the journal entry to be followed. Is this clear to you? Okay, once recording after all these steps, finally you will arrive at the profit or loss. Okay, once you are done with all these things, you are now going to come across, okay, profit or loss on revaluation. So any one only is possible, either profit if not loss. So what we are going to do? If you are going to get profit, then obviously you should understand how we are going to derive the journal. Just remember the revaluation ledger in front of you. Just you have the revaluation ledger in front of you. Okay, debit side and credit side. Suppose your credit side total is high. Okay, so for example, the total on the credit side comes to rupees 1 lakh. On the debit side, okay, the total comes to rupees 80,000. Now, which side total is heavier? Which credit side? So, the balancing figure will come on the debit side. That is what we say. Two, okay. You are not supposed to write as balance carry down. You have to mention it as to revaluation profit. You are not supposed to write as to balance carry down. It should be mentioned as to revaluation profit. Okay, and that should be distributed to the respective partners. Okay, whoever is the partner. Okay, to the capital account. So now see, in revaluation account, you are bringing that particular thing to the debit side. This is the revaluation profit. So that means the entry will be in such a way that revaluation account debited. Okay, revaluation account is debited to partners capital or current account. To partners capital or current account. Can you able to understand? Can you able to understand? Okay, just a minute, ma. Yeah. So revaluation account debited to partners capital current account. This is for the profit entry. If it is a loss entry, okay, let us understand even further. Now, let me take the same example. Okay, I'm just going to make some alterations. Now, on my debit side, the total comes to 1 lakh rupees. On my credit side, the total comes to 80,000. Now, where the shortage is? Where the shortage? Hello. Now, where does the shortage arise? Credit side. How much is the shortage? Okay, 20,000 rupees is the shortage. Now, this we are not supposed to write as by balance carry down. We will write as by revaluation loss. Okay, it should be written as by revaluation loss. So now only in journal if an item get debited, that item will come on the credit side. So here this loss will also be distributed to the partner's capital account in their profit sharing ratio. So it should be mentioned as partners, okay, partners capital or current account is debited to revaluation account. To revaluation account. So this is what the entire concept of revaluation. And while doing this revaluation, we have to be very careful with these terms and terminologies. What if you ask the words like, okay, for example, value of stock is increased by rupees 50,000. Remember, if you have the word by, then you can use the amount given in the adjustment or the question itself. Okay, so when the word by is given in the question, pass journal entry for the specified amount. Okay, for the specified amount. In the case of Patna, that is rupees 50,000. Is it clear to you? First one. Is it clear to you? The second one. So அப்போ என் டைம்ஸ் வரும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டா இது என்ன ஐட்டம்? வேல்யூ ஆஃப் ஸ்டாக். ஸ்டாக்ங்கிற அசட்டா லயபிலிட்டியா? ஸ்டாக் லயபிலிட்டி. ஸ்டாக் என்ன தெரியுமா? அசட்டா லயபிலிட்டியா? அசட். ஓகே. அப்போ அசெட் வேல்யூ இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆயிருக்கு. ஓகே, அசெட் வேல்யூ இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆயிருக்கு. இது அப்போ ப்ராஃபிட் ஐட்டமா இல்லை லாஸ் ஐட்டமா? இது ப்ராஃபிட் ஐட்டமா இல்லை லாஸ் ஐட்டமா? வெரி குட். திஸ் இஸ் a ப்ராஃபிட் ஐட்டம். அப்போ அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி நான் ஜேர்னல் பாஸ் பண்ணணும். ஸோ இட் வில் appear on the credit side of the revaluation account. அப்போ ரெஸ்பெக்டிவ் அசெட் இங்கே என்னது? ஸ்டாக். ஸோ தட் மீன்ஸ் ஸ்டாக் அக்கவுண்ட், okay, will be debited. Okay, it should be as stock account debited to revaluation account. Okay, stock account debited to revaluation account. In this, the entry should be passed for 50,000 rupees. Is it clear to you? The second case, the second one, okay, value of stock is to be increased. Okay, value of stock is to be increased to rupees 1 lakh. Okay, value of stock is to be increased to rupees 1 lakh. So here you can find the word to. So here you have to be very careful. When the word to appears, derive the difference. Okay, derive the difference between the book value of the stock appearing inside the balance sheet and the amount given in additional information. So suppose when you find, okay, your adjustments like value of stock is to be increased to rupees 1 lakh. Straight away, you're not supposed to pass the entry for 1 lakh. In this case, you have to find out the difference between the value of stock, book value appearing inside the balance sheet. With that, what is the amount given in the information? Now, for example, okay, for example, you have a balance sheet. In the balance sheet, on the asset side, okay, on the asset side, you have stock value of rupees 80,000, and you have the adjustment. What is mentioned is value of stock. Okay, adjustment is given as value of stock is to be increased to rupees 1 lakh. Okay, value of stock is to be increased to rupees 1 lakh. Okay, this is your additional or adjustment. Okay, this is your adjustment which is given. Now tell me for what value will pass the journal. For what value you have to pass the journal entry? For 80 or 1 lakh or whatever value. For what value you pass the journal? So for what amount you will pass the journal? Check out, check out properly and then say the value of stock is to be increased to rupees 1 lakh. I have said what I said as an adjustment or as an no. Listen carefully. What I said when the word to appears, when the word to appears, what you should do? When the word to appears, what you have to do? Read it completely, man. That means what you have to find out then. What you should find out. Then find out difference. If you are going to pass for 80 or 1 lakh, the entire sum will go wrong. So here the entry will be as stock account is debited to revaluation account. Amount is 20,000. In the previous case, that's what I mentioned very clearly. When you have the word like this, buy, பைங்கிற வார்த்தை எதுனா பைங்கிற வார்த்தை பக்கத்துல என்ன அமௌண்ட் இருக்கோ அதே அமௌண்ட்டுக்கு என்ட்ரி போட்டு போயிட்டே இருக்கணும். ஆனா அதே இது இந்த கேஸ்க்கு ஃபாலோ ஆகாது. அதுதான் இந்த வேரியேஷன். அதுவே உனக்கு டூங்கிற வேர்டு இருந்ததுன்னா அப்போ டிஃபரன்ஸை கண்டுபிடிச்சு அந்த டிஃபரன்ஸ் அமௌண்ட் தான் என்ட்ரி போடணும். இந்த அமௌண்ட்டுக்கு என்ட்ரி போடக்கூடாது. அததான் அதோட மீனிங். அததான் தெளிவாக எழுதியிருக்கேன். when the value okay of stock is to be increased to okay rupees 1 lakh, in that case you find out the difference between the book value of the stock and the amount given in the additional information. That amount should be used for the journal entry. Can you able to follow? Now the next case. value of stock, okay, is to be brought. Just a minute. Now you have been given brought up to. When the word brought up to appears in the adjustment, then in such cases find out the difference between the book value of in the இடத்துல stock அதான் stock யூஸ் பண்ண book value of stock appearing inside balance sheet and the value mentioned in additional information. So same as the above case. Okay, when you find the word even brought up to, in that case also you have to find out the difference between the amount appearing inside the balance sheet. Okay, the book value of the amount of stock or whatever it is inside the balance sheet with that of the amount appearing in the additional information. This will give us the amount of revised figure with respect to stock. So now let me give you the same example. Okay, on the balance sheet, given balance sheet where stock is 80,000, given the additional information, stock value is to be brought up to rupees 2 lakhs. What will you do? For what value you will pass the journal? Stock value 80,000. That is given in the balance sheet. This is the amount given in the balance sheet. This is the amount given in the additional information. Now, for which value you will pass the journal? Find out the difference. Find out the difference and tell me what difference it is. Ah, check out properly. That is 80,000. This is 2 lakhs. That is 80. This is 2 lakhs. If you pass the entry for 20, then sum will come very nicely. You just pass the entry for 1 lakh, instead of 1 lakh 20, you just pass it for 20. No, the entire sum will come in a very good shape. That means you're not concentrating. We are discussing the third case. We are mentioning the amount very clearly. Where is the focus at? So here the entry will be as stock account debited to revaluation account. The value should be of 1 lakh 20, 1 lakh 20. Can you able to understand? The concept is very simple. Okay, stock account debited to revaluation account. Okay. Now, the same case, if suppose you're using percentage, you have to apply the percentage and derive the value, and then for that amount, you'll go with the journal, difference amount. Okay. For example, the same thing, if it is mentioned like, just a minute, the same, everything is same. Okay. Now, the change is value of stock is to be brought up to 10 percentage is given. Okay. So here what we need to do, I'm just giving even that very clearly in the explanation part. Okay, just read the explanation very carefully. If it is mentioned now in the terms of percentage, okay, when the value of stock is to be brought up to 10 percentage, appearing in the adjustment, in such cases, first find out what is 10 percentage of the stock amount appearing inside the balance sheet. This should be a first step. Okay, when the word brought up to, okay, and given terms of percentage, 10 percentage appearing in the adjustment, in such cases, first find out what is 10 percentage of the stock amount appearing inside the balance sheet. Then pass journal entry for the amount obtained by substituting 10 percentage. Okay, then pass journal entry for the amount obtained by substituting 10 percentage. So now let me go for an example. The entry remains same. In entry there won't be any change. This is entry. Okay. So now the calculation is the stock value was 80,000, right? So this is the amount appearing in the balance sheet. Stock is 80. Now apply 10 percentage on 80,000. So 80,000 into 10 by, so this gives you an amount of rupees 8,000. So which means for 8,000 only the entry should be passed. The entry should be passed for 8,000. Okay, so here you will not find out difference. Even though the word brought up to is appearing, but you are not given with the value directly, you are given in terms of percentage. Okay, so when percentage is given to us, you'll find out what is the percentage amount on the given asset value or on the given liability value, and for that amount we'll pass the journal. Is this clear to you? Okay, so this is all about the revaluation account. And to sum up, okay, and to sum up, it is very simple. Okay, that is, we have, okay, we need to understand that revaluation account is basically a ledger account. Okay, some important points. Okay, some important points on revaluation. Basically, it is a ledger account. Revaluation account is also known as, okay, revaluation account is also known as profit and loss adjustment account. I repeated, okay, profit and loss adjustment account is the other name of revaluation account. And the third one, revaluation account follows nominal account principle. Okay, it was following the principle of nominal account. Okay, so these are the three important points that we have to keep when we are performing the revaluation account. So revaluation account is basically a ledger account, and it is otherwise known as profit and loss adjustment account, and it is purely following the nominal account principle, right? So these are the concepts which we have discussed with respect to revaluation of an asset and reassessment of a liability. So there are totally four journals, or there are four types of expenses cases. In that, for only one type, you will not pass journal entry. For rest of the cases, journal entry will be passed. Okay, so with this, I'm stopping the session for the day. We'll discuss in detail with respect to the past, the profit, revaluation and reassessment of liabilities incorporated in a full-fledged problem, or in a problem where we have capital adjustments. So with this, I'm stopping today's session. Thank you. Welcome.